All right, let's just get right into it. When you're scrolling, right, you've got maybe 3 seconds. 3 seconds to convince someone to stop and watch your stuff. That's the battle. That's what every creator is up against. So today we're going to break down the science of how you can actually win that battle.
So, think fast. What do all those videos with millions and millions of views really have in common? I mean, is it the fancy editing, the creator's personality, or is it something else completely?
Well, the answer is right here. I mean, just look at these numbers. We're talking 39 million, 37 million views. The thing that connects them all isn't luck. It's the hook. That very first sentence, that opening line, it's a formula, and it's carefully designed to be, well, psychologically irresistible.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. See, going viral, it's not like winning the lottery. It's a formula. It's all about understanding that those first few words you say, they're the most important part of the entire thing you create.
Now look, I could just dump a massive list of like 100 different hooks on you, but that's not really helpful, is it? Instead, we're going to do something better. We're going to take all of those successful examples and boil them down to the 3 core psychological patterns that actually make them work. This isn't just the tactics, it's the strategy behind them.
So, let's start with the first key, and honestly, this one might be the most powerful of all, sparking curiosity. You see, our brains are they're wired to hate not knowing things. We hate an information gap. So when you hint at something that we don't know, we get this almost physical need to find out the answer. It's like an itch we just have to scratch.
Okay, this is such a brilliant example. This is fake honey. Right away, your brain just goes, wait, what? The honey in my cabinet? Is that fake? What does real honey even look like? See, it creates a question that you have to have answered. And yeah, almost 20 million views kind of proves just how powerful that is.
And you see this pattern everywhere here. The one about the banana? It sets up a conflict. Here's the thing they don't tell you. That implies there's a secret. Every single one of these opens up a little loop in your brain that you just feel compelled to close.
All right, let's move on to our second key, challenge beliefs. Think about it. Most of the time, people are just scrolling through stuff in this state of passive agreement, just nodding along. The absolute fastest way to snap them out of that trance is to say something that goes completely against what they think is true.
This is such a perfect example of that. It takes a piece of advice that everyone's heard, common wisdom, and just flat out calls it a lie. That creates instant friction. It forces you to stop and think, wait a minute, have I been doing this wrong the whole time? Clearly, 4 million people felt that way.
What's really interesting here is the range, right? It can be super provocative, like telling someone it's your fault, or it can be way more subtle. That last one, don't do this common thing, that is incredibly effective because it taps right into our fear of missing out, or our fear of doing something wrong that everyone else knows. And that brings us to our third and final key, promise immense value. This one is probably the most direct approach. You're basically making a clear deal with the viewer. You're saying, hey, give me a few seconds of your time, and I'll give you something super valuable in return. A solution, a secret, a shortcut.
Wow. Okay, this might just be the ultimate value promise. I mean, the ratio here is insane. 4 years of therapy. Think of the time, the money, the emotional work, all condensed into 60 seconds. Even if you're a little skeptical, the potential payoff is so huge for such a tiny investment of your time that it's almost impossible not to watch. And yeah, 19 million people seem to agree.
Just look at how these other examples frame that value. The first one makes this huge claim, one of the best tips you will ever hear. The next one promises to completely change how you think with just 5 sentences. What do they all have in common? They promise incredible efficiency, a massive return for a teeny tiny investment of the viewer's time and effort.
Okay, so I know what you might be thinking right now. Sure, this is great for life hacks and, fake honey, but my topic is, well, kind of boring. It's technical, it's super niche. And you know what? That's the most common pushback I hear, and it's exactly what we're going to tackle right now. So, let's put these 3 keys to the ultimate stress test, shall we? We've gone and pulled some titles from some really technical computer guides. I'm talking the kinds of topics that most people would assume you just can't make exciting. Let's see what happens when we apply these formulas.
Okay, look at this first transformation. The before is AMD GPU tweaking and debloating guide. I mean, it's descriptive, sure, but there's zero urgency. Now look at the after.
One setting is secretly killing your gaming PC. That is pure curiosity. It instantly creates a problem, a mystery. It implies this hidden danger, and you can bet that anyone with a gaming PC is going to immediately want to know what that setting is.
Let's try another one. Before, Intel BIOS settings explanation. That honestly sounds like a textbook chapter. But the after? Avoid these 3 BIOS settings because they are hurting your PC. See what that does? It challenges the belief that the default settings are safe. It introduces a threat, but it also promises a very specific, actionable solution.
And let's do one more. Chrome Optimization Guide. It's fine, whatever. But how about this? You're using Chrome wrong. Boom! That's a direct challenge. It grabs your attention, and then it immediately follows up with a value promise. Steal this trick I use to make it faster. It's a perfect 1-2 punch of challenging a belief and then promising value.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's really simple. Stop naming your content based on the topic. Instead, you need to frame it around the problem that you solve, the secret you're about to reveal, or the mistake you're helping people avoid. That is the mental shift that makes any topic, even a boring one, compelling.
All right, so this is the part where we turn all of this from just information into action. Because look, knowing this stuff is one thing, but actually applying it, that's what really matters.
So it really just boils down to these 3 things. The next time you create something, just ask yourself one of these questions. How can I spark curiosity? How can I challenge a common belief? Or how can I promise some kind of massive value?
That's really it. Just 3. You don't need to memorize a list of 100 different tricks. You just need to get really good at using one of these 3 core psychological drivers.
And hey, let's be really clear about something. This is not about creating clickbait. Clickbait makes a promise that the content doesn't actually deliver on. A great hook is the exact opposite. It's about respecting the viewer's time enough to package your valuable information in a way that is simply impossible to ignore. It's about making important ideas irresistible.
So as we wrap this up, I'm just going to leave you with this one question. You have knowledge. You have a message. You have something important that you need to share. The only thing left to figure out is, what important idea are you going to hook next?